Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Integritas Group training call, the Fly on the Wall training, where you're the person that's important here. It's all about us answering your questions to build your business. My name is George Fox, and I'm a Silver Director with Usana Health Sciences, and I'm co-hosting the call tonight with Mr. Chris Lopez, who is an Emerald Director in Usana Health Sciences. And together, our goal is to do whatever we need to do on our side of the equation to help you build it big and build it permanent, your Usana business, and absolutely to have fun. If you're not having fun, you won't keep doing it. Help people, that's what our business is all about. It's about helping people achieve their optimal health and to create businesses that will give them the resources they need to live the life of their dreams. And, of course, to do all that, you need to make money. And as a consequence of having fun and helping people, we get to make money. So it's all about building a huge business. You want to build it big, and you want it to be permanent. You want to do this one time, and you want it to be a legacy for you and your family. And that's what a Usana business is all about, and that's what our training is all about. It's about helping you create that life with a huge and expanding Usana business. So welcome to the call. Like I said, I'm co-hosting tonight with Mr. Chris Lopez. Mr. Lopez, are you out there?
Yes, I am, George.
Excellent. Well, I went out and found out what we had going on this week, last week on our team. Wasn't an overpowering week for our team, but there was still some very good things going on there. A couple of people on my team, Gemma Hughes, she picked up a preferred customer last week. Joanne Ness, who just finished up getting her Platinum Pacesetter qualifications in last week. She picked up a couple of preferred customers last week, so congratulations to Gemma and Joanne for picking up some preferred customers. The top 50 income growth by state. You know, there's some repeats on this list that won't go away, and Gemma Hughes is one of them, so congratulations, Gemma, for being #1 in West Virginia. And Chris, you and Jason rocked it there in Nevada, #6 on the top income growth for Nevada. And there's a lot of people on that list, so there's kind of surprised me. I mean, I think Nevada is one of the smaller population states, but Usana has a nice foothold in Nevada. So congratulations, you guys, for being #6. And I made #12 in Florida. Florida is a huge state, lots and lots of distributors here. And I was delighted to hit the #12 spot. There's a lot of big hitters here in Florida with Usana businesses, so I'm very happy that I made #12. And Evelyn Ojeda Fox made #30 on that list as well. And top growth 50, these are people whose businesses are growing this year over last year at this time. And there's Gemma right there in West Virginia, #1. And Evelyn Ojeda Fox, #10 in Florida. Now I got to tell you, her business grew faster last week than mine. So congratulations, Evelyn. Well done, and I know you've got a lot of really fun, wonderful things going on with your Usana business. So making the top income 50 for Florida and top growth. Wow, way to go, Evelyn. And the Integritas Group, you guys made #42 in Nevada. So that wraps up our weekly reports and recognition, and I can tell you, I know what's going on in our businesses, and next week we are going to have a very, very flush list to recognize. So congratulations to everyone who is rocking their business, and those people that weren't mentioned, that earned checks, sold products, and are filling their pipeline with potential customers and distributors. Welcome all. You know, it's all about teamwork and building a team. I worked out with my trainer today. We take turns. He trains me and I train him, and we're doing some very demanding workouts right now, and my voice is a little bit hoarse from yelling. And one of the things that I can do when I'm working with a trainer and somebody's motivating me that I can't do by myself is I can work out much harder. It just is easier. I worked out for years by myself before I found a trainer to work with. And working with a trainer makes all the difference in the world. And this business is no different. Coming on this training calls, while we're on this call, we're the coach. And we are here to help you grow your business. Now, That may come in the form of motivation. It may come in the form of some communications training on what to say and how to say it. I have people on my team asking me constantly how to respond to different people in different situations, because how you respond can make all the difference in the world. Just like working out in the gym, how you work out can make all the difference to how many gains that you're actually making. And if you come on this call and you engage and learn, I can guarantee you very quickly you'll be on those weekly reports and being recognized. It's just the way it happens. We all need training, we all need support, we all need motivation. So once again, welcome to the call. And I think Chris is going to bring up the next slide here, and I think we can jump right into our product of the week. So Chris, I know you looked over this stuff. I've got a few things to say about it, but why don't you go ahead and introduce everybody to Coconut 30.
Sure. Well, thanks a lot, George. Well, this is the product we're highlighting this week, and Usana has a product called Coconut 30, which is their product name for something called coenzyme 10. Now, without getting in all to the really scientific nitty-gritty details, it's very, very interesting to read about. If you Google it or visit Usana's Ask a Scientist site, you can find a lot more about it. But essentially what it does is it helps the body to create energy. So when you actually go down into the cells and all the series of steps that go on to create energy, so you have energy, well, it's done cell by cell and adds up to overall energy. And this, from my own personal experiences and from the reading I've done, it can impact everything from just your day-to-day energy, and it can also impact if you're working out, so you can actually have more energy for working out. So a few examples. A common thing that people use coenzyme 10 for are people who are on statin drugs. So usually, middle-aged men who are on the statin drugs, the Lipitors, and the other drugs out there to help control high cholesterol. Well, what those drugs do a lot of the times is they actually drain your body of coenzyme 10. And I've had dozens of people I can think of in my customer base and my organization where they've been on statin drugs for years, sometimes decades, depending on how old they are. And then as they've gotten more into nutrition and gotten into taking more of these Usana products, a lot have taken Coconut 30 and have noticed that they just have more energy throughout the day. And do we know it's a direct link to the product? Absolutely not, but there's a strong correlation there, and from a lot of the research out there, it shows that men who are on statin drugs who take Coconut 10, they actually will have more energy because it's replacing in the body what that drug is depleting. Remember, every drug that has a positive usually has a negative drawback. So to do something in the body, it has to cause something else. And so one of those things that statin drugs does is it causes the body to drop the CoQ10 levels. So if you are on a statin drug, or your husband or your father is, or whoever, do some research on there. There are some good articles written around Usana. Check Sanaviv's medical site out. They've got some great information on there as well. And the other thing to look at is if you're an athlete, you may want to look at supplementing with the Coconut 30 or the super pill that Usana has in the My Health pack. It's the Coconut 100, so it has a lot more in there. The Essentials has a little bit of CoQ10 in there, but the standalone optimizers has a lot more in there. And I can feel a difference in my workouts and my recovery from when I'm taking Coconut 30, when I put it in my Health pack, and then when I don't have it in there, I notice a difference in my workouts and my overall energy levels. And I just turned 30 a few months ago, so I'm not on any statin drugs, but I can notice a difference when I do take that product and my overall working out and day-to-day stuff. And the last thing I'll tell you, and I won't go into all the details on here, but if you start searching around or looking at things, you will see a ton of debates out there on the different forms like gels or powders or liquids for how Coconut 10 I'm sorry, CoQ enzyme 10 should be delivered into your body. And you'll hear people bad-mouthing the way Usana does it and every other way trying to sell their product. We'll always go back to what actually clinical research has been done out there. And the clinical research points to the fact that the form Usana uses is the most highly absorbable out there. And so if your body doesn't absorb it, we all know that doesn't do a whole lot good for you. So, George, I know you've got some thoughts on here too, so I'll pass it back over to you.
No, thanks, Chris. I'll tell you, you really hit all the bases there. I found it fascinating when I first ran into the Usana products. I was looking at the essentials, and I saw that it had CoQ10, and I was familiar with what CoQ10 was. I had purchased it in the past. I've been a user of it. Some of us are twice as old as Mr. Lopez there. You can figure my age out. I'm twice as old as he is. So, and as you age, your body's ability to both absorb and produce CoQ10 decreases significantly. So even I'm not on statins, I'm not any of those things. Most people would say I'm in extremely good physical shape. I run, I sprint, I lift weights, do all that good fun stuff. I have a lot of energy, but still my CoQ10 levels would not be as high as they were when I was, like, say, Chris's age. So it's important to replace that if you really want to maintain optimal health. And Dr. Wentz knew that CoQ10 was so important to the health of the cell. It's why it's in our essentials. Go out there and find another multivitamin on the market that has CoQ10 in it. I defy you to find one. I've never found one. There's probably some out there somewhere besides Usana, but I sure as heck haven't found them. And there's a good reason for it, because a lot of companies don't want to put it in their multi because it is a very expensive nutrient to make. It's made in a lab, but it's not cheap to produce CoQ10. And Usana actually has, I'll throw a little quiz question out there. Does anybody know how much CoQ10 is in a full dose of the essentials? Anyone out there know that off the top of their head?
My guess, I think it's 15 milligrams or 30 milligrams total in the AM and PM, right?
You're really close. It's 12. It's
12, okay.
12 milligrams. But just to have that in there is amazing that Usana actually puts that in there, because our formulas are made. Remember, Dr. Wentz wanted to put together the formulas not based on price point, but on what the body actually needs. So Coconut 30 is a fabulous product, standalone. I use it. I have a My Health Pack, and I throw a 100 in my Health Pack. I'm really, really happy to be using the Coconut product from Usana. And I have gone and looked at the clinical studies, and Usana has them. They'll show you how our product performs against other products. Going into the blood, it goes into the blood and it achieves a higher level in the blood, and our formula actually sustains the CoQ10 in the blood for longer, and that's where you need it to do the good. And the muscle in the body that uses the most CoQ10 is the heart, and that's why it's so critical for everybody to have that in their body. So I don't need to belabor the point anymore. It's a great product. We have, if not the best, one of the top CoQ10 products on the market.
So there you have it. Great insight into there, George. I never thought about looking in other multis, but I'm going to start keeping my eyes open on that. That's an interesting point to bring up. So I just learned something, so thank you.
Absolutely.
So moving on to the next topic before we jump into the Q&A, we want to cover one of the 7 habits of highly successful Usana leaders. And the habit we'll cover this week, it's very simple, yet it's very hard, if that makes sense. And it's, are you taking action? Action always trumps perfection. Always, always, always. And what happens here a lot of times is sitting down and planning and planning and planning will never get you towards your goal. So the perfect plan won't, but someone with no plan who takes action while they'll probably fall on their face a lot, they will achieve their goal. They'll work towards it. So what you really want to do is what we recommend. You do a little bit of planning, you get going, you do course correction along the way. But the secret ingredient in there that so many people miss is, are you taking action on a consistent, regular basis? You heard George mention that he's sprinting and running and lifting weights on all the time. Well, that's not something George is doing once a month, or he's not sitting on the couch eating potato chips for 3 weeks out of the month and says, oh, okay, I got to get in shape. I'm going to go work really hard out tomorrow, and he works out for 10 hours that day. Same thing works for your Usana business. It's those consistent actions each day, just like staying in shape or losing weight or getting healthy. If you do a little bit each day, man, the results add up long term, or the results add up in the long term, I should say. So are you taking action?
If your business isn't growing.
Before I turn it back over to you, George, for any comments you have, anyone out there with Q&A, go ahead and start posting them on Facebook or YouTube. I know sometimes those take a minute or two to get the comments going. So start throwing them out there. And I'm going to turn it back over to you now, George, to give your 2 cents on this habit. And actually, let me ask you before I turn it over to you, how often are you taking action on your Usana business? Is it once a day, once a month, when you feel like it?
Well, I do it when I feel like it, for sure, which I often do, and I really feel like doing my business a lot. I love the business. I love what it's doing for my health. I love what it's doing for the health for my customers. I love helping other people achieve financial freedom and build a successful business and grow as a person. But it's easy to do then. Is when it's tougher to do is when you don't feel like doing it, and when you've got to get out a couple more emails and you're tired at night, or your mind starts to wander, and you got to bring yourself back to doing it. So the thing that I like about this business, even if you have a full-time job, when you are doing this business, you can actually be doing this business 24/7. Basically, anytime you run into anybody or you're interacting with anybody, it's always an opportunity to be listening for what we call qualifies. Qualify is nothing more than something somebody says that we can address with our products or our business. You meet somebody and they say they're taking statins. That's something to take action for. Why? We just talked about our Coconut 30 product and why it's so necessary for people taking medications to try and control their cholesterol. The research out there is amazing when you go look at it. So you can actually be taking action all the time, even if you have a full-time job. And in fact, for a lot of people, it brings more context to you when you're out and about, working a full-time job. So it's really about doing your business when you feel like it. It's about doing your business when you don't feel like it. And it's funny there that Chris has that little thing, it trumps perfection. I wish he would have said it trumps inaction, but the bottom line is a lot of us suffer from perfectionism to some degree. I suffered particularly when I came into this business, probably to a very, very high degree of perfectionism, and it took its toll on my business not starting and going as fast as it could have. And there's lots of reasons why perfectionism will stop you, because it really stops you from taking action. It stops you from taking action because you don't think you know enough. You think you don't know what to say. I mean, there's so many reasons perfectionism can stop you, and it's really about taking action and getting things done, and you make your corrections in course when things are happening. It's the fastest way to learn. It's the best way to learn. And you're better off to go out and get 20 no's in a day than to sit there figuring out what you're going to say to people and study it and try and learn it and wait for a month or 2 months or whatever it's going to take before you get those 20 no's. The more no's you get, trust me, you'll figure out what to say a whole lot faster by talking to people and getting those no's. I spent over 3 or 4 months just making cold calls trying to drum some business up, just calling people cold calls. And that was a big thing for me to do, to take that kind of action. And you start learning very, very quickly what to say and how to say it.
All right, well, time to jump into some Q&A now, and we got some questions coming in. And you can hear me, right, George?
Absolutely.
All right, wonderful. For some reason, I thought I might be talking to myself. Well, some good news talking about taking action. Joanne Ness out in New Jersey said, "Hey, sorry I'm late. Just signing up a PC with a health pack." That is a legitimate excuse for being late, Joanne. So no need to apologize there.
Talk about taking action.
Very, very legitimate. But Joanne Mansfield is out of Washington State. So the Joanne on the West Coast is asking, how do you suggest we describe the discount enrollment packages when a potential associate wants to start a Usana business? There is a 3-minute YouTube video that describes them, and of course there are the flyers describing each one. Well, I don't have any single set way of always describing it, but I'll give you some ideas and pointers, because depending on the person you're talking with and what their goals are and their interests and what you know about them so far, you may present certain ones or may present them in different ways. So I know Usana has they got the professional pack, the entrepreneur pack, the basic pack, and the convenience pack. Now I hardly ever, I actually should say I never recommend the basic pack. I just don't think that one's a good bang for the buck. What I would rather do is get someone on one of the bigger packages, like the Pro Pack or not Entrepreneur Pack, or present them with a product order, because I just don't think the basic pack, I've not had much success with it. I think there's a lot better ways to get people value for their money. The convenience pack, I have sold a few of those, and I probably will still sell a few of those down the road. I generally don't do that a whole lot, but when I do it is for people who are either on a tight budget where they want to fund their business. So hey, buy the convenience pack, take a health pack for yourself, go out there and sell the other 4 health packs, and you can pay for your business and actually get a few customers in the process. So that's one way you can keep in mind for the convenience pack. But generally what I do, that's just kind of some thoughts behind this, is if I'm talking with a person, I'll generally present the professional pack and the entrepreneur pack. Those are my go-to packages, and those are the best deals out there. So that's what I lead off with. And you always want to start with the professional package and then go on down to the entrepreneur pack. So you start with the highest price and then you move down to the lowest price. That's just a common principle in sales. So some different word tracks I use for the professional pack is I'll say, well, Usana's got a few different business packages available. And so what they did here is they combined a lot of the most popular products that Usana has, so you can get familiar with them, get you and your family on them, and actually do some sampling to go out there and get customers. Plus they have some other things like some different tools and conference registrations that you'll need to get down the road anyhow. And so what they do is they like people who take action, and they know you're making an investment with Usana, so they want to get you started off on the right foot and give you all the stuff you need to get off there. So their main package is called the professional pack, and so this gives you a wide variety of the products in there. Now I want to take a step back from my explanation. So if the person has a wife and kids, or husband and kids, or whatever, I would point out some products I know about that would probably interest them or their family, or say, hey, this is great for families because this allows the husband and the wife and the kids to get on the products, to sample them, and that way you can all see the Usana difference. And for those people out there who just want the best and they want to dive in the business all the way, this is the way to go because, let's face it, you get the most you need. And so that's only $1,250. And then the other option Usana has is the Entrepreneur Pack. And so this is same principle behind the Professional Pack, but you don't get nearly as much product to sample or nearly as much product to use. But you still get some conference registrations. You still get some tools to use, and this is good for people who are on a little bit of a tighter budget, or if you're single or you just don't have a family or thing to be using this with. This is a good package there, and that is $600, or that's $599. And so that's kind of the basic gist of what I'll say and what I'll use. Like I said, a lot of it depends on the person you're working with or talking with. Is a business package appropriate for every single person? No, it's not. Some people will want to try the products first. They may be a customer. Other people may have very specific, health goals and nutritional needs, and they may want to do a product order. So keep all that in consideration. But for people coming with a business focus, I present and highly recommend the Professional Pack and the Entrepreneur Pack. And I can tell you that, and I always usually put this in there too as we're talking, I say the other reason this is so great is a lot of people will follow the example of what you do, and they'll say, well, which package you come in with, or what did you recommend? And you can say, you know what? As I was looking around and looking to get started, I wanted to make sure I got my business off on the right foot, so I went with the Entrepreneur Pack, or I went with the Professional Pack. So a lot of times people will ask for opinion and then do what you say. So you can't go wrong with either package. Which one, based on what I'm telling you, are you leaning towards right now? And so I'll stop there, and you can ask any clarifying questions, and I'll also pass the ball over to your court, George, so you can hop in with your insight and your tips.
Well, generally, I follow the same exact format that you taught me, which is what you just said. A couple of things that you want to keep in mind when you are working with somebody, it's not to sell them a package. It's you're more like a consultant. It's a consulting role here to help them get their business off to a great start. So it's really being totally interested in them and what they need. And if you have that mindset when you're helping them, they can feel that. I was just working with a prospect today that's looking at a couple of different packages and whether they should come in with a volume order or maybe the entrepreneurial pack. It was clear from the discussion we had, I would usually do what Chris did and start with the, with the pro pack, the professional pack. But I was already able to not. There wasn't the one to present because of where they were at, what they wanted to get out of the business, how they wanted to start. So in this particular case, I usually do what Chris does, but it was working with them, and I put together the options and talked about the pros and cons to each one, and using the process of deciding which package he's actually going to use. And there's a couple compelling reasons to go either way, and it's really helping them figure out, as a consultant, which thing is most important to them in getting that package going. But I can tell you from looking at the packages and knowing the numbers very well, if you bring somebody in on a volume order and they want a website, I can tell you right off the bat, you're going to get 10 more cycles of the website, and that's worth $199.50. That's an extra $200 that they're going to have to pay out over the first year that they wouldn't have to pay out if they came in with the entrepreneurial pack or the pro pack. $200 right there. So you want to know those things. Those are good things to know as you're consulting with somebody, so you can advise them to get the best value for what they're looking for. It's the same thing. I believe everybody should be coming to convention. I mean, there's really very, very little reason why you shouldn't be at convention if you're a serious business builder. There's too much to gain from being there. And the value that Usana puts on that when you come in with the packages, another $200. If you sign up for the convention way in advance, it's $199, and as the year goes on, the price goes up. But if you buy one of the packages, it doesn't matter if you use your event tickets, a month before the convention, you're still going to get in. You're still going to get in when the convention's going to cost you. It's like $3.99 or something like that, $2.99 to get in. So those are two of the things that the packages give you that a volume order will not give you. It will not give you. So there's $400 right there, plus the packages, they give you a discount on the items. If you add up the, it's funny because I just did it today, I've done it for a long time. If you actually add up the products in the entrepreneurial pack that you're going to pay $5.99 for the products at our discounted price, if you're going to run a volume order for somebody, it would cost them $60 more to buy the same products. If they bought that exact same product mix from the entrepreneurial pack, it would be $60 more. So you're also getting a nice discount on the products that you'll never be able to get once you come into the business. There's one other thing that's a good thing to know is if somebody does sign up for the business, and this isn't something that I generally tell them, I don't, because you want them to commit. I want people to commit to the business, either you're committed or you're not. But you can, if somebody comes into the business for $29.95, or even they buy some volume stuff, they can buy a package within the first, I think it's the first 6 weeks, isn't it, Chris? You can actually purchase a package. So.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, first 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm. But generally is what you're not trying to do is give people outs here. You're trying to find out if they're seriously committed, because when people come into this business, if they're seriously committed, guess what? You need to be there for them, helping them and supporting them and training them to do this business. And I just don't like working with anybody that's not committed. It's not worth it. The time's not well spent. And we've all done it, but you really want to find out if they're committed, and the commitment comes down to how they're going to come into the business. If they say they want to build a big business, but they're coming in for $29.95 and buying, a bag of Nutrimeal, well, I question the commitment. Now that's not always true, but you want to get them to commit to the business because you're going to commit to them. And people can feel that when they're coming into the business, if you're going to be committed to them or not, and help them achieve what they need to achieve in the business. I've run into more than a few people who have joined, somebody's downline, and they didn't keep their commitment to train them and get them trained, and that's just, that's not a high degree of integrity, and so that's one of the nuances. Go ahead.
Sorry, George, I didn't mean to talk over you there. So you brought up a couple points that flashed a couple other things in my mind as well while you were talking. The first one is you did a great job of going down and giving the dollar amount and savings per package. I used to know that, but I honestly don't anymore. Because what I start doing now is I try to keep my things pretty broad and generic, like you heard me describe. Because for a lot of people, that's enough for them to get going on. They'll either do it or they don't. They might ask a few questions. But then for the people who are more analytical oriented or want to do really some comparison, and you will get those people out there, the green personalities and a lot of times the yellow personalities. I'm not going to take the time on the phone to explain that because it's not a good use of my time and I don't have the numbers memorized. But Usana's got some really good tools you can use. So in your Usana back office menu, prospecting tools.
Yeah, they have a great enrollment comparison package chart.
Yep, and then if you click on the Usana business tool, it'll take you right here. And so I'll just send people this chart. And then that's where it can give people the exact amount of money they're saving and what they're getting. And you can see this is what George was saying down here. Hey, if you were to get these products individually, that's how much it would cost. And I'm not sure how well you can see that over YouTube right now, but they're at the bottom. So if you log in there, there's a PDF flyer sheet that has the 3 packages in there, the professional pack, entrepreneur pack, and basic business pack in 3 columns, and shows exactly what you get and the total amount of savings you get. So that's something I'll email people if they want to really do a comparison, or if they want the the amount of savings like George was describing, I would use this tool. You send it to them, it allows people to look it over, see it, and they're like, oh yeah, I can see the numbers. Because analytical people, they're going to want to review it anyhow or see it. And something else I do, this is a second thing you made me think of, George, and it's become so habit to me. I wasn't not even aware of it anymore. I used to do quite a bit of sponsoring of people with product orders, and I don't want to say I never do it, but I hardly ever do it because I just know from my own statistics and sponsorships that the people who come in with the business package, and I've seen no difference between entrepreneur pack and professional pack. Those are the people who are really serious about the business, because I think a lot of times it comes down to people are so nitpicky about spending 5 extra bucks or 10 extra bucks or wanting every detail before they start the business. They're never going to fully jump in. Now, I'm not saying that is a 100% rule, but that is the general rule of thumb from my experience. And so unless it's a very specific example, like I'm working with a personal trainer or a gym, you know what? I won't sign up anyone now unless they do a business pack, like the professional pack, the entrepreneur pack, because I just know that the likelihood of their success goes up a lot more if they get a package. Now, I'm not saying it's the package that makes the difference. I'm saying it's the type of personality that the person has that makes a difference. Because someone who does come in with a professional pack or entrepreneur pack, whether they come in right off that phone call or they review this document for a few days and then we talk again and they sign up, either way, people who come with that level of commitment, they're a lot more serious. And I don't have the time in my business to work with those people who aren't 100% serious like that. And we were talking about the commitment, George, and it being a two-way street, man. You nailed that on the head.
Absolutely. I'm thinking back to just this last couple of months. Let's see my signups. One gentleman did come in with a volume order, but it was only because when he looked through the package very quickly, he goes, there's some stuff in here I just don't want, I'm not going to use. And so we put together a custom order for him. It worked great for him. But since it's been entrepreneurial pack, the last 3. And the business that I'm working with right now, there's a really good reason why they might want to come in with a volume order, because we can do some, there's some cool things you can do with a My Health Pack. And they may want to come in with a bunch of My Health Packs because they could be branded for something they want to do. So once again, it's really about finding out about, really getting to know them. I agree with Chris. I always try and guide people to the packages. You get a lot more value for what you're getting for the products. They include so much more. And personally, I like having my Usana website out there. And Evelyn does very well with her Usana website. So I like that, having that out there. And that's something you get when you come in with one of the packages for the full year. Not everybody uses them, but it's there if they want to or they need it. Even the person I was talking to today, after I explained to him, he said, "Yeah, it's looking pretty much like." I want to start speaking, but I'm not sure. I can't see Chris, so we don't know if we're going to start talking over each other. Go ahead, Chris.
Thanks, George. Sorry about that. I was going to say I brought the different flyer here. Usana's got those 3 individual flyers where they do show the layout and a short description of the Entrepreneur Pack, Pro Pack, and Basic Pack. And I never send these out. I mean, they look pretty, but they look pretty. So if you're doing a slide presentation, yeah, these come in handy because people can see it. But otherwise, stick with that just Excel spreadsheet-like chart, because that's good for the analytical people because it's very to the point. It gives them the numbers. It gives them the facts. When people are at the decision of which package you're coming up with, I'm sorry, the prettiness of the looks and the layout is not going to be the deal maker or breaker at that point. It's going to be your closing abilities, how well you've done a job, how well you've explained things to them, and how much they really do want to build a business or to achieve their goal or get out of their job or whatever it is. So my recommendation is, don't use these. But again, that's just my personal experience. But I'm just telling you what's worked well for me over the years and what hasn't. Now let me switch back to the slideshow. And let's see if any other questions are coming in. Looks like Joanne Ness is in and out of the audio. Hopefully, well, not to be mean to you, Joanne, but hopefully that's on your end and not not system-wide. Hope if you're having trouble, the recording should record everything 100% crisp and clear, so you can go back and catch the recording of it. Now, something else I want to do before I forget is I want to show you the slide each week. If we help you out, make sure you like this video. It gives us good feedback. A good reminder to keep zigzagging forward, because no matter what, keep moving forward. As George and I talked about at the beginning of the call, action trumps perfection, and taking action and moving forward will always get you closer to your goal. And then make sure you are plugged in. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, the Facebook channel, the whatsupusana.com blog. That's a wonderful resource. I'm thoroughly amazed at the consistent high-level quality of content that Usana puts out there. If you want to check out the recordings of this call, use or plug into our podcast as well, which you can get a link down off our website at integrisgroup/training. There'll be a link on there. So make sure you're plugged in, and that way you're getting the information on a regular basis, and always, always make sure you keep taking action. I've got a few other questions I want to bring up, George. Before I do, I want to make sure I didn't cut you off from any of your final thoughts on the enrollment question.
No, and I have a question that one of my team members asked me a few days ago in response to an ad they posted out on LinkedIn and got a response back. So we also have that. I'd just like to ask it to you cold if we have a chance here on this call and see how you'd respond to it. I know I responded to it because I did an email response back to her, and it's a little unique in the fact that this is all being done over email, so it's not face-to-face. It's a very interesting question, and I think it's a scary question when people get it and they don't know how to respond. So if we can squeak that one in after you have these couple questions, let's go for it.
No, let's go for that one first.
Sure. Okay, so here's the situation. It's one of my team members, and it's Dr. Denise Teff. She actually has, this is a little background information, Chris, to answer the question. She actually has a PhD in molecular biology. Very well educated, went to University of Southern California for many years. She's done some unique things in research. She knows a lot of stuff about the human cell, just like Dr. Wentz, very, very educated woman. She's building her business, and she wanted to post something out on LinkedIn that actually you can join different groups, and you can actually post like job postings out there. So I worked with her this last week to work up some wording to post something out there, and she got a response. And here's the response she got back to her ad. It was just a very simple, straightforward ad, had her credentials on there and how she used her scientific knowledge to find a business that she loves and likes, and loves it because it's based on science. But here's the response that came back. If it's not Amway products or any other network marketing business, I would be happy to know more details. And her response back to me is, how should I respond? So, Mr. Lopez, being an experienced Emerald director, knowing the situation now, you just got asked this question from one of our team members. What would you tell her to say? Would you just tell her to, oh, forget it, it's a lost cause, or how would you guide her?
Oh, absolutely not. That's a great question, and you will get those. And getting it over email is a bit tougher to answer than getting it face to face, because a
Yes,
lot of
it
times
is.
when you send your email back with the person trying to clarify or answer their question, a lot of times they've already predisposed and they're not going to listen to you. So you're not going to bat 100% on this objection, or probably anywhere near that. So that's the first thing I want to make sure everyone knows out there. I've gotten that question in the past, given the great response, and have not heard back from the person. And it'll happen to me again in 2013 and probably 2014 and 2015. So if it's over email, the person said basically if it's not an Amway product or network marketing product, I'd be
That's
interested.
right.
But
Hmm.
if it is, I'm not.
Right.
Okay.
Would you like to know what the ad was that she ran?
Um,
Does that make
yeah.
any difference to you? All right, it's going to take me just a second to find that. All right.
And while George is finding that, I want to remind you of the of that question answering formula: the listen, pause, clarify. Now over email, like I said, that can be a little bit trickier, so you have to do your best on the information you're getting. I can tell you if you just send back like a one-word sentence, like, well, can you describe more, or have you had a bad experience with network marketing in the past? If you just do kind of a clarifying step on there, you're not going to have success because people aren't going to, respond to it. So you have to clarify, and you also just have to take your best guess at answering the objection. So,
I'm sorry, I'm having just a tad hard trying to find it here in my email
oh, don't
here.
worry about it. It's
Yeah.
not mission critical. So without knowing that information, what I would say back is I would be upfront. I'd say yes, this is a network marketing product, but before you delete this email and go off onto something else, take 2 minutes and read this, and then you can do what you want. So I'm just upfront and direct with the person and speaking real to them. Again, that's just my style. Because if you try to dance around the issue, it's probably going to blow up in your face when it comes to email. So yes, this is network marketing, but before you jump the gun, delete this email and forget about it. Take 2 minutes and read this. My guess here is that you've probably had some sort of bad experience with network marketing or or an MLM product in the past. I get that. I've been there. I've seen that. I've done it myself. The two things I ran into was it was either a inferior product that was overhyped, where they just did something and slapped a great label on there, and and then just hyped it up, hyped it up, hyped it up, and it really wasn't that good. Or the other thing was it didn't fit into the marketplace. People would be trying to sell something and it would have a short shelf life. Like if you look at cell phones or technology or prepaid calling cards, things just don't work that way. So if that sounds familiar with you, this is not the way I do things. Just like there's a lot of bad out there in the network marketing world, there's also a lot of good. And then depending on how the ad was written, and I'm assuming I'm not familiar with LinkedIn, I'm assuming you can look at the person's profile, but try to tailor my response to the ad or the person's profile that I've come in and base it just around, back to what the goal of the ad was, incorporating a health product or changing careers or doing something like that. And just say, here's what I'll tell you is that this wouldn't be a public trade company going on 20 years with some of the highest marks in the industry and also the highest marks in the nutritional market industry as well, if we've mentioned the product so far. And I tell you that because I don't want you to look at this like there's other things, because what happens a lot of times is people lump them together and say, oh, well, this is the same as the other one. So I can tell you from my experience, from my research and people I work with, this is the real deal. This product will stand alone. In fact, there's close to, or there's over 600 different Olympic and elite athletes using the product, not because they're in the business, not because they're getting paid to, because it helps them win medals. It helps them go out there and perform and get what they want. So, have you found the ad yet, George?
I don't know why I can't find the ad.
All right.
I got the response. I got the response. I helped her draft back, but I don't know why I can't find the ad. It's lost someplace here. It's lost someplace here in my email. I don't. It's funny. I don't know why it's not found. It's like I can't
I
find
was just
it.
asking to see if we could tailor back. So like I said, you tailor back. You throw in a few hard-hitting facts, and then having a good ending where you don't want to be like needy or wanty, but you also don't want to be a jerk or an a-hole basically in doing the response. Kind of walking that fine line, and just say, hey, look, I know you answered the ad because you're looking for this type of product to carry in your clinic. If you want to do that, we need to talk first for 20 minutes. I'll send you the details. Tell me what you're looking for. Look at the product on its own, and then you can tell me if you think this would be a good fit or not. But my gut is it is. And end with something like that. Now that ending I'm not excited about because I kind of just made it up off the cuff, but you're getting the point.
Okay, I found the ad. The ad was help others. This is the headline. Help others earn extra income with scientifically proven products. And then the bulk, the two sentences underneath the ad, it says, as a scientist, it took me a long time to find a home-based business that really works. It was important for me to work with a scientific-based company. Message me if you'd like more details. That was the ad.
Oh, okay. Now this is where I would get, oh, I like that.
Yeah, is that juicy?
So, and the background, and you can clarify for me because I know Dr. Teft, she's got, I know a PhD or some, I mean,
She has a PhD in
she's got
molecular
stuff I have a
biology.
hard time pronouncing.
Oh yeah, she's got a lot of other credentials besides that.
So this is where, I mean, that's a perfect ad for her to run. So this is where she needs to brag a little bit and then also smack the person in the face, because what I know of Dr. Teff is she's got the PhD. I know she was some of the first scientists or researchers working on cloning something,
Yep.
like something pretty crazy. I'm just like, hey, look, I've been in this field for 22 years. I have continued my education. I've been around. I've got a PhD in yada yada yada, and this product beats any other product out there market. Network marketing, non-network marketing, internet on the shelf, what's being sold in doctors' offices or chiropractors, this beats it. So I would be careful of taking that general response of just saying, hey, is this network marketing? I have no interest in there, because I know that's coming from, and as a general rule, you're right on that, but this is the exception to the rule, and I've put my 20 plus years of my career on the line.
Are you there, Chris? I just lost you. Can you hear me? Hello, Chris. Hello, Chris. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, testing.
Hey, George, I am back.
Okay, I can hear you now. That was bizarre. That was
Sorry,
bizarre.
my
I don't know
internet.
where. Are we still broadcasting?
Yes, we're still broadcasting.
I don't know where you left off there, but you nailed perfectly what I responded. The suggestion that I gave Dr. Teff to respond to for the person from that ad.
Wonderful. Great minds think alike.
I'm telling you, you just had it all right there. It was amazing. It was as if you were reading the response. You outlined it perfectly with your response, right down to the end where, I had her use her credentials to talk about it. I mean, if this was a face-to-face conversation, that's where you could ask somebody. The question is, would you want to find out more information as well? I don't, if it's network marketing, I'm not interested. And that's where you have the opportunity where it's interactive to say, oh, well, what happened? And get them to talk more about it. So because this was an email, we had to do it a little bit differently, but it was still after the introduction when we worked together and drafted that response back. Basically, we used her credentials. We were able to put some information up front, like, hey, I'm working with a product partner that, using her scientific background, talking about the science that's behind the company and everything. And then in the next paragraph talked about it. Yeah, well, I didn't care. I was looking for the best product out there for myself and for my business. I didn't care, whether it was network marketing or not. And when I found out, oh, it was direct sales, and it actually worked to my advantage. But I understand that a lot of people have had these kind of experiences, but it's the same reasons that you pointed out: inferior products, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a great question, but that question brings a fear to a lot of people that are in this business. They don't know how to respond to that.
Oh, absolutely. I've gotten that before, and I remember when I was newer in the business, that would bring me to my knees, so to speak, in fear. And one of the important things is not only answering back the right way, but whether it's over email or in person or on the phone, is the confidence you answer it back with. Because that, we all know that what's like 70% of communication is nonverbal or whatever percentage, but it's a large percentage of it. So if you are confident and you believe in the product yourself, well, that's going to come across and convey it. Because a lot of people out there in network marketing companies I think they really know the product is not that great, but there's hype around it, there's money to be made, and so people kind of fake it till you make it. I remember when I was in my first network marketing company, it was the one before Usana, and Usana was my second one. The products were good, but after I went to one of their conventions and saw what the business was really about on the training side, and even learn more about the products, no matter how much I still wanted to make a six-figure income with that business, I could not bring myself to talk to people anymore because I had zero belief in the product I was representing. So both the physical product and definitely the product of the culture, the training, and the team. So if you come back with that certainty of like, I don't care what you say or what you do, but this is hands down, no other product out there beats it. If you kind of come back with that confidence, you're going to get people's attention.
We mentioned in the response about the 600 elite and Olympic athletes and all of those kind of things, because what that really does is it dispels the myth, if that person has that, of this perception that network marketing companies are whatever. If they think they're not professional or cheesy or something like that, we had that information right up front. So the first thing this person gets back in the response is, wow, this company does what? Oh my gosh. Well, they sponsor all these Olympic teams and the WTA. It's just like, holy cow. Well, I thought maybe I could stump you for at least a few seconds on that one, Chris, but I have to give you an A+.
Well, thank you. And my internet really did crash. I didn't chicken out and hang up on you guys. Um, but
Chris wanted
we
that A
were
plus. He
coming
knew
up
he was getting an A, but he had to do a little bit more to get that A plus, so he needed that extra time.
I see one more question out there, and I don't have the knowledge to answer, but maybe you do, George. It's from Joanne Ness saying, or she asks, what do you know about Mercola's supplements and how do they stand up to USANA? I know who Dr. Mercola is. I read some of his articles on his websites, but I know nothing about his nutritional products. I don't know
Well,
if you do, George.
actually, I do because I've been asked about them before, and it's interesting because he likes to say that his products are whole food based supplements, and it's a play. It's really a play on words. I've looked through his products. They're fairly comprehensive. I mean, he's trying to. I think there's some degree of trying to put together a very good product there. But now the interesting thing is I was looking for those of you who aren't familiar with it. There's a company out there called Consumer Labs. They're an independent testing company. You can subscribe for very little money and get their reports. And they look at different products. And USANA's products have all been, not all of the products, but our majority are essentials, our Biomega. In fact, just recently was tested. So Consumer Labs gets the products, and they actually run them through analytical tests in a real lab to make sure that the products don't have contaminants. They make sure that the products actually have in them what they say is on the label, and they produce a report. And they'll show you all the, it's amazing how many companies, they're the ones that found out that 30% of the multivitamins on the market don't even come close to meeting their labeling claims. So it's very good. Now, the interesting thing is Dr. Mercola, one of his products, I think it was his vitamin K product, he got nicked on by Consumer Labs, and the FDA came after him because of the facility that that product was produced in. So to me, that pretty much tainted what he was trying to do, because he's saying his products are top of the line, top shelf, they're the best, and all this. Well, he actually doesn't make his own products like Usana Health Sciences does. He farms that out to another company. And as such, he's at the mercy of their quality control. So at least in the case of his vitamin K product, I actually saw the letter from the FDA warning him about his product that was produced in this other facility, and the warning that they got, and because it didn't meet all the requirements it needed to meet as far as the FDA is concerned. I don't remember all the details at this time. So the bottom line is do you want to buy your products from somebody who's not even producing them? He's just farming them out to be produced in another facility, and at least in the case of one of his nutritional products, didn't come up to full specification.
And what I would do, like I said, I don't know, I don't spend a lot of time researching other products out there because there's countless, and every year there's more, and new ones out there. A lot of ones are off the market for whatever reason. But if you notice, George went down about 5 or 6 different bullet points about quality, outsourced versus manufactured. So knowing those things, rather than me doing the research for the person, I'll just ask and say, hey, look, here's a few things I look for when I take supplements. Even when I take supplements that USANA doesn't manufacture that I want, and I have a really hard time finding good ones. So, the manufacturing level, is it an FDA registered facility, or is it pharmaceutical grade manufacturing? What's the science behind the products? Is it just outsourced? Is it, are the vitamins in the forms actually get absorbed? Is there clinical research that backs it up? And once you start going down those bullet points, there are some companies out there that meet 2 or 3 of them, but I have not seen a company that meets all the bullet points like USANA does. And if you want to get an idea of some of them, go back and watch that Health Pack marketing method website. The what vitamins do I take, because that goes through a lot of different questions and points. And do I use those all the time? No, but I go back and forth and use certain snippets from them. And so that's a great way for people to make their own decision, because you bad-mouthing a product is never going to get you anywhere. But if you educate the person so they can kind of make their own decision, you will a lot of times get those people over you, because you know what? That makes sense. You have to give them some points so they can make their own education off of, or make their own educated guess or what's best for their family. So I love how George went down and did those those bullet points. And I do go down and say, well, Usana does this, or here's what you want. And if I do know something about the product, I'll say, I looked at the website and I saw this, or I looked at the website and you can't find any of this information. And the last thing I'll say before I hop off here is the whole thing out there where people say, oh, well, you want whole food supplements, is the biggest crock of marketing crap there is. Because if you want the whole food, eat the damn whole food. 100 units of vitamin C is 100 units of vitamin C if everything else is the same. It doesn't matter if it comes from an orange, or it doesn't matter, or if it comes from a synthetic lab. If they're the same form, it doesn't matter where it's coming from. And a lot of times, you just cannot get the amount of nutrients you need from extracting it from whole foods, or it becomes burdensome, or just not possible. So don't let people run amok with the whole food supplements thing. There's a video on that Health Pack marketing method. Usana's got a couple great points in Ask the Scientist feature. Go read that, because I do hear that question quite a bit, and I understand where people are coming from. So it's good to know that on helping people, educate them on what works and what doesn't work when it comes to supplements.
And Usana does use what would be considered to be true whole food sources, like when it comes to vitamin E. We use the natural. Usana uses the natural form of the vitamin E, and vitamin E comes in many different formats. So, and Usana actually uses all of the formats of vitamin E that would be considered, quote, that word natural just drives me crazy. But so Usana tests their stuff in labs with real human cells, and what they use is they use the format that works best for our bodies. And in some cases, the synthetic form actually works better. So Usana does a mix. They use what works best. And how do they know? They test it on human cells in a laboratory. It's amazing. It's amazing. That's why I'll say that I can just use that. That's why we've got so many elite Olympic athletes that use our products, and they get such fabulous results with it, because Usana actually uses what works best in the body. That's the bottom line.
And that's a great point, is that Usana just uses the best. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
And if you need help, if you're working with somebody and you get a question you can't respond to, use Ask the Scientist on your distributor account. You can go in and you can ask any question, detailed questions, and you will get amazing response from Ask the Scientist. I've been asked some questions that I don't know. Lots of times the answer is already there in Ask the Scientist, because you can put in a query and bring up all of the standard answers for lots of things you're looking for. And if it's not there, then you can actually submit a question. And I've had to submit questions because the information wasn't there. And actually, I've gotten some great responses, and I have preferred customers that are ordering products month after month after month, because I use Ask the Scientist, got a response back that nobody else could give them. And I got the answer for them. And I didn't have to go looking for it. I didn't have to do all the research. Usana has the PhD scientists working there. They respond. I've actually one time got a response from Dr. John Cuomo on a question I asked. And you can't find better authorities than the people that work at Usana, and a lot of them did their PhD dissertation work at the Linus Pauling Institute, which is one of the most well-respected institutions in the world researching basic nutrition. So use that resource. You don't have to go out and start scouring the internet. Ask the scientist. If it's not there in one of their standard responses, submit the question, and you will get a response back usually in less than 24 hours. And it won't be some hypey, fluffy answer. It will be a real honest-to-goodness answer. So many people don't use Ask the Scientist. I don't know why. It's there. Don't do the research. Ask.
All right, that's some great points to end with, George. And Joanne says, I couldn't find them in the nutritional guide compared to supplements. That's, like I said, that's not surprising. And I mean, what I think what they've got 1,600 plus supplements in their guide. If they're not in there, I don't know if that really says anything about the quality per se or not. But I find that kind of as a red flag because they go out of their way to find a lot of different supplements. And if it's not in a publication like that, that's another thing. It's like, well, how come it's not in here? Is it that small, or is that outsourced, or are they just doing what a lot of companies do? Just going out there and outsourcing it and slapping their own label on another bottle. That you can use that to your advantage. And what I'll even do with people, I did it in one of the videos on that health pack marketing method, where if you actually if you Google create your own supplement, you'll have a variety of websites that pop up where you can go out there and white label your own supplement. And the example I used was off of DaVinci Labs, where they advertised in 15 minutes or less, have your own nutritional label. So I don't know, is Dr. McCullough just doing that?
And I can tell you
no
that DaVinci Labs is one of the companies that was named in the California lawsuit in December of 2007 for exceeding the California Proposition Level 65 for lead in their products.
And so a lot of times what you can do is you can just raise those questions and raise those doubts because, and you don't say they have it, but I mean that's what comes in my mind. It's like, well, is the person just doing this? I don't know, because you can't find the information, so it leaves one to wonder. If there's no information, you need to fill that void with something, and a lot of times that can be uncertainty. And Joanne Mansfield, last comment, said, hey Chris, using your brochure on how to select a quality vitamin product is a great way to qualify the product. That's that green brochure. And yeah, that's a really good brochure. If you have any, I would study up on it and read it. I still think there's some out there probably sold or be available for sale. I still have them. I rarely use them and don't really recommend them as a tool anymore. Not because the information isn't great in there, but it's just because with the way we're all spread out over the place, having to mail a brochure, and that just doesn't work. And also just kind of keeps paper down. We can do a lot of this stuff over email now and using websites, so it's also just more environmentally friendly. So I still think there's some copies of that available out there, so you can get some of those and look at them. But I try to duplicate all that information on that health pack marketing website plus 100 times more. So if you got the brochure, use it for a guide, but I wouldn't say spend the money on there because when it comes down to it, so much of the stuff is done over email and the internet nowadays. You want to go more digital. All right, George. Well, I think we had another great call here tonight. I don't see any other questions coming in. You got any closing thoughts?
No, I think we're ready to wrap
here.
I think we're ready to wrap it up and call it a training for the week. Let's get some more questions out there. I know a lot of people like to submit questions, especially on my team, to me personally. I really want to get everybody submitting them out there on the call so that we can use these so everyone can benefit from what's going on here. It's just a great way for us all to learn. Just when I have to respond to these questions, it's funny because sometimes these questions roll in, and my first look at them is I'll kind of like just say, whoa, how am I going to answer that? And then you just got to, okay, wait a minute. We've answered this many times before. The thing that you find out when you work with Usana Health Sciences long enough is it is a truly science-based company, and everything they do is science-based. You can have faith in that whatever they're doing, if you go out and you do the research like my wife did when she wanted to make sure they were safe for pregnant women to take, and she spent, I don't know, 400 hours researching over a couple months to find out to make sure every nutrient in there was the right type, format, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. After you work with Usana Health Sciences long enough, you can just talk to people with confidence and know that what we have is the highest quality nutritionals in the world that are made, that are safe, they're effective, and it's all based on science. And if you don't know the answer, you can go to Usana and get the answer. So I just know that when I'm talking to somebody, even if I don't know the answer, I know I can go get the answer, and I know it's going to be the answer that's in their best and highest interest, always. That's the company we work with. That's why working with a company that's science-based and has integrity is amazing. And you can go forward with confidence and talk to people about these products on that level. And when you deliver that kind of confidence, they're not going to care so much anymore about some of these other things and these objections or questions that they might be bringing up about the product. I get a lot less of them now simply because I just know, and the person knows that I'm talking to, they know that it's solid, and they can detect it in your voice if you're confident about what you're marketing and what you're recommending to them. They'll just know. They'll feel it.
All right. Well, wonderful. Thanks, George, for your time. Thanks for everyone asking the questions out there. And as George said, keep the questions coming and keep building your belief in Usana. So we'll see you on next Tuesday's call. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.